Hello, and welcome to another edition of Delta Media Group's Tech Tuesday. I'm just going to get right into it today. I don't have anything clever to say this morning, so we're just going to roll with it. So, as we jump into the DeltaNet, today we are going to show you the customer saved searches, and those lead to the Home Finder emails, and Market Watch reports, since they're in kind of the same place. So I figured, hey, why not? So, first of all, any customers that have come in and have been assigned to you, either somebody that requested you or you added them in manually or however, are going to be under this Customers tab, and we'll go to Customer Center. So here is your list of customers, and we will say, for today's example, that our good friend here, Charlie Bailey Gates, has told you what properties he's interested in and what kind of criteria he's interested in, but he doesn't want to go in and set up his own saved search, so you can go in and set one up for him. So to do that, you saw that we clicked on Charlie's name. There we are, Charlie Bailey Gates. And we scrolled down to the section labeled Save Searches and Market Watch Reports. Now I made a Market Watch report in here earlier so that we could take a look at a preview of that, but we're going to go over Save Searches first. So if we click here on Add a Saved Search, this will be our first method of creating a saved search form, and what this will do is make the system automatically run this search on whatever interval, and every time it finds new properties, it will, by default, or if you set the email or turn the email notifications on, it will send an email to the customer letting them know what new properties it found. So the two ways you can set this up is either by market or by radius. So let's do by market first, and here's what we've got. So we'll say market. Now keep in mind, this is a demo site, so there's not a lot of real data hooked up in here, but we'll use a zip code for a market. You can use a city name here. This is just like the quick search field on your homepage, so you can use a city, a school district, subdivision, zip code, anything that you can search from your main site, you'll be able to search in this box. So in this case, we did a zip code because it's easy, and I'll pick that zip code. We'll say he wants 150 to 250, and we'll go with 3 beds, 2 baths, residential single family. Good enough for me, at least 1,800 square feet, and every house should have a 2-car garage. So there we go. So once you have all your criteria filled in as far as what this will allow, or this particular interface will allow, you can go down here to email notifications, and this is where you decide whether or not you want it to send him an email. So if you say not, by default the search will just save every new property it finds in his account, and then when he logs in, he would be able to look through his saved properties to see what new ones it found. But kind of the main point of these is sending out that email. That way, you know, the customer gets a new email every time a property comes on the market that matches what they're looking for. So it generally makes more sense with the email notifications on. So we'll turn that on. And we can choose whether or not we want it to send open houses. And what it'll do is at the end of the week, it'll fire off another email with open houses that match the criteria he's looking for, or properties with open houses that match the criteria. That way he can know about those open houses too. So for now, we'll leave that turned off and done. And that's all there is to it. There's our market watch. Here we are. So 44708 was the zip code I picked, and there's zip code saved search. There you go. So from here, you can click on this copy me on this email box, and whenever it sends him a Home Finder email, it would also send you a Home Finder email, the one that he received, so you can keep track of them that way. But that is optional. If you leave it unchecked, like it is by default, it won't send you that. But that's all there is to it. You want to go back in here and edit this down the road, so you can click on Edit, and you'll get that same screen, and you can go through there and modify it. And then if you ever want to delete it, or if the customer decides they don't want to get these anymore, there will be a link in the email they can click to stop receiving them, and that'll delete it from their account. They can log into their portfolio account and delete it there, or you can go in and just click delete, confirm, and just like that, it's gone. All right, so the other way to make a saved search, we'll say add a saved search and do it by radius. So for this, we just grab this little dot, maybe, I got it. And we'll drag it to wherever we want to center our search on. Oh, I've made it angry. There we go. And we'll grab this dot on the outside. I promise this is easier than it looks. There we go. Doing it with a touchpad, it's tough sometimes. We drag that down to whatever radius we want. We can zoom in and zoom out. We can center this on a certain area if we want. So if I said I wanted to center it on Cleveland, if I could type this morning, there we go. So that centers it on Cleveland for us, and then we can just move that circle around however we want. Once we have the area defined, or the radius defined that we want, click on Next, and you'll see this is the same screen as before, only up here it's now missing the market field since you defined that with a map. And we'll say same thing here. Three bedrooms, 2 baths, and you get the idea. Email notice is on, we'll say open house is on. And there we are. And you'll see that it tries to pick up the radius or the name of the area you picked with your map radius. So that's why it says Cleveland radius saved search, because it knows, we picked an area right around Cleveland. So there you go. All right, so the last way you can create a saved search for a customer is the same way that a customer can create one for themselves. So I will go ahead and delete that one. And what they can do is they can log into their portfolio account and create one on your public site. Now what you can do is you have this log into portfolio button up here, and if I click that, it will tell me that the login has failed because this is demo lead 42. Let's try that again. So if we go into our customer, and this is just one of those things that has a tendency to be a little twitchy because you are, because I'm on a demo site instead of a live site. There we go. So now I am on that customer's portfolio account page. And you can see up here it shows me as logged in, shows how many saved searches I have, and I deleted the one in there so it doesn't have any. And it would also save properties in here when it runs that saved search when it finds new ones. So if I wanted to create a saved search, I can go to my property search page, wherever it is in your navigation, and at this point you're just using the site like you would use, like your customer would use the site. And we'll say quick search. Now the particularly nice thing about doing the search through your public site instead of the back end is that in the public site you can set up multiple markets. So when you set it up through the back end, and we're working on changing this and making the back end saved search setup system more robust so that you can define multiple areas and narrow the criteria down more. But right now you can just do that through the public site. So the reason I mention that is the way I searched for a house the last time I was looking for one is I was looking entirely by school districts, just exclusively by school districts. So, and I wasn't looking for just one. So I'll go in here and I'll say I want plain local. And I'll say I want regular plain, which I'm not even sure is real because like I said, demo data. And I'll say Canton City. So there we are. Now I've picked 3 school districts, and this search will return every listing in any of those districts. So every listing in all of those districts. Not just listings that are in all 3, obviously, but this way you can search every listing in multiple school districts or multiple zip codes or multiple subdivisions. Everywhere that the customer is interested in, you can mash it all together into one search like this. Or you can make separate searches for each one. So for this one, who knows if we'll find any properties here, but I'm going to try. And we'll say single family. Stick with our 3-bedroom, 2-bath thing because I feel like it's working out well for us so far. 1,500 square feet, but not more than 3,500. I don't want to do too much cleaning. Fireplaces, that's fun. But the point of this page is that you can use any of the criteria that's available to your customers. So if for your company we've added custom criteria to any of these pages, anything like that, everything that's accessible here will be usable to you when creating the saved search. So that's why it's nice to do it this way. Then we'll just hit search, and we'll find no properties, which isn't hugely surprising, but So there we are. Now you can do this by list view or map view. So if I switch this to list view, or if it went to list view to begin with, I should say, it doesn't take the map criteria into account, which can be nice because now it'll show anything that matches any of this criteria as written. Whereas if you're looking at a map, it'll show anything that matches any of this criteria you selected, but only if it's viewable on the map page you're looking at. And usually those will be the same, so you won't have to worry about it. But either way, so point is, when you go in here, once you have your search results, and you'll probably have search results where I don't, you just click on Save This Search. And then you can log back in if it has you logged out. Generally, it'll leave you logged in there. But you log into their account. You can give it a title, and we'll say School District Search. And we can choose how often we want it to check for new listings. So by default, it's going to check every hour. And what's available there just depends on how your company is set up. The minimum can only check once per day, but at least it'll be able to check once per day. And you can choose whether or not you want it to save the listings it finds. So in this case, I'll say no because I want it to send me an email. It'll send me an email, and I'll be able to see the listings there, so I don't really want every one of them saved in my account. Then we click on Finish. And there we are. It flashes down here to let us know it's there, and our school district search is saved. Now you can see this search through the DeltaNet. So if I go in here and refresh Charlie Bailey Gates' page, and we scroll down here, we can see the locations defined, and there's our saved search. But notice that you can't edit this one, because if you were to try to edit this one through here, because this interface doesn't support multiple areas yet, it would not allow you to retain all those areas if you were to edit this search. So the only way to go in here and edit the customer search for them would be the way we just went over, to log into their account, which would take you to this page where you could then run this search, modify it, and resave it however you'd like. We would just say Run Search Now, and it's going based off the Atlas search because that was the first result set we got. And then I could make any changes, and I could click Update this search, and there you go. And the search would be resaved with the new criteria. All right, so moving on from saved searches, close out some of these windows, we can take a look at MarketWatch reports. There are two ways to go about setting those up, which are very similar to the saved search system. You can go down here and click on Add a MarketWatch, and we can say by market or by radius, but in this case, it only needs the market because these reports just show you general information about that market that's not specific to any property types or property criteria. It's just information about whatever market you picked. So this works the same way. You can use a zip code if you type in a valid one, or school district, city name, county name, things like that. And you can do the same thing by radius, which also works exactly the same way. Just go in here and define your radius area, and then click on Done, and that would save your MarketWatch there. And then once your MarketWatch is saved, it'll set it up in here, it'll have it labeled, and by default, it'll send an email to the customer every month, which contains information about that market. To get an idea of what that looks like, if I click on Preview, and we'll preview it in browser, here's what we've got. This MarketWatch report shows a few sample listings off to the side. Like I said, it's demo data here, so one of these listings is a picture of a Fitbit. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's a really big Fitbit. I'd live in a Fitbit. So you get average property asking price, average days on site. Now this isn't days on market exactly because different MLSs and different companies will calculate that in different ways. So the only full accurate information we have is how long it was on the site. We know how long, when we started posting it and when we stopped posting it. So those are the averages it uses here for days on site. So it'll give you that for every month, and then it also gives you the average number of properties for sale just across the board each month. So it's useful information. Also, if there's anything just listed, it'll pop those on here as well. But it's useful information even for someone who's not necessarily looking for a house. If they just want to see how the market they live in is doing, they could sign up for one of these reports. They get one once a month, and it has this information in it. So something that at the very least is interesting for anybody. So that is how you would set them up for a MarketWatch report through the DeltaNet. And then lastly, if a customer were to want to set themselves up for a MarketWatch report, they could go into your site and log in, and I'll just use this one because we're already logged in, and you can set up a custom page or a predefined page on your site for a MarketWatch report. So they could come in here, and this information is already filled in because I'm logged into the account already, but they would fill in their contact information, fill in the market information for the area that they want the report to be on or to cover. And then they can click Sign Me Up, and it'll set them up, and it will send them. Email frequency is set on monthly by default again, and it'll send them that report every month. They can also check this box here to have someone contact them, and that makes it into kind of a, that'll show up on the lead, because this will pop up in your lead system. So that'll show up on the lead, and you'll see that they want to be contacted about, well, presumably about the market that they picked in here. In fact, they can also set their market by map if they don't want to define it using that county, state, city field, or county, state, market field that were in there. Sign Me Up creates the market watch, and that'll start going out to that customer monthly. If we take a look back at their page again, we'll refresh it. Did I spell search wrong? Yeah, I did. It's going to be one of them days. There we are, Canton Market Watch. Now this data, yeah, you can see demo site data, so it doesn't have the data laid out for what the actual market information is there, because there isn't really any. So, but it'll send them out this Market Watch report every month. Alrighty, so that is all I've got for you today. You should now have a good handle on setting up saved searches and Market Watch reports. As always, it has been a pleasure going through the DeltaNet with you today. If you have any questions, concerns, any suggestions on new videos, anything like that, feel free to give us a call or send us an email into support@deltagroup.com, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. You could also comment on the videos if you have any suggestions for new videos. Thank you very much, and I will sort of see you again next week.